The Tide went into Aggieland and got her done, beat the Aggies, beat the 12th man, beat the whole thing, overcame the -1 point spread to a final 26-20. Alabama. Okay, here's how I want to start this.
All right.
What is the West?
The West is, inches. It's inches away from being decided is what it is.
Yeah, because your front runner's Bama again.
Yeah. And we're getting to a point where if Alabama continues to, I don't know. I mean, obviously they improved from the first half to the second half of this game substantially, but we're getting to a point where Nick Saban is going to be coach of the year for, whatever the 100th time in his career. And it's not going to be arguable because you look back at them early season, you look back at them versus Texas, the mess in Tampa versus USF, the game where they just, they wouldn't let Ole Miss be anything but little brother. And then this game, first half to second half on the road in the SEC, road opponents, road teams not performing well on the year, Jalen Milroe not having a great first half, and they just flex in that second half. They just flex their muscles for 30 minutes in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, wild. And who saw, even if you take away the minus yards for Jalen Milroe rushing, all right, because in college football, they count sacks towards the rushing department. Mm-hmm. So he's going to count for 8 for 31, putting Bama at a total of 23 yards rushing, 23 yards on 26 attempts. All right, so even if you do away with that, Jace McClellan, 12 for 45, Roydell Williams, 6 for 9. What is that math real quick? That's going to be 18 for 54. Yeah.
3 yards a carry on the money.
So if I tell you going into this game, Bama's backs, 18 carries, 54 yards. Oh, I'm going, Aggies.
Yeah, I'm standing by what I said on the preview of this game, which I was as wrong as I've been at any point probably that we've previewed. Yeah, I'm saying that all day right there with you. I mean, just look at Milroe. Yeah, he was negative 31 yards on the day with the sacks included. Mm-hmm. His long run was 12.
Yeah.
If there's ever a game that they win where his long run is 12, I'm really raising eyebrows. I mean, I really have questions, and I'm saying how the heck? How did they do it? Well, they did it because of his arm. They did it because of Milroe's arm. For the first time since maybe Bryce Young was hurt in 2022, they win a game because of Jalen Milroe's arm. Obviously, Jermaine Burton having his – I know he's done some things in Crimson. I'm calling that his Crimson breakout. You can't really change my mind on that when he has 197 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he just abuses whoever they have on him. Isaiah Bond doing some of the things that I've been missing from him. 7 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. To me, he is he should be the continuation of what they've done with the receivers. He's not Amari Cooper. He's not Julio Jones. Mm-hmm. He's not those guys, but dang, he's fast. Dang, he's shifty. Just been wondering where it was, and they break out with that performance on the road in College Station, 1 million fans on hand, and they didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, the you pointed out Burton's performance. I mean, that's one of those that can alter your season and send it in like an incredible trajectory. I mean, look what the Bama game did for Jalen Hyatt.
Exactly.
So that alone, obviously the 2022 reference there. But when we recorded this going into this game. I told you that Milroe would be your X factor, but I never would have told you that he would have this kind of impact through the air. 21 for 33, 327 yards, 3 scores, and a pick. This is the crap that scares me with him and pair that what he's capable of doing with his legs and just the fact that he's in a crimson jersey. That's the stuff that scares me with him.
100%. That's, he's tapping into whatever his, and I think he's still got a higher level. Let me say that. I'm not going to diss the kid or say that he's reached his peak, but he's showing you what his ceiling really can be if he can find consistency, if he can stop throwing the ball to the other team. And look, he's done that a lot. He's been on the ground a whole lot because they're raising this offensive line from the true ground up. I mean, true freshman left tackle, rotating guys there because they're not getting any consistency there. They're doing it despite that. They've done all those things wrong to the tune of one loss to a good Texas team, even though they just took a loss themselves. A good Texas team, a Texas team that's really strong in their defensive front. Their entire front seven is really strong. And he's just showing you what peak Jalen Milroe could look like whenever he finds that consistency, whatever it looks like within him.
Yeah, dude. And consider this. He was sacked 6 times. 6 times. And he continued to play through that. And what's funny is, what was the slogan for the Alabama offensive line going into the season? Do you remember this stuff?
The term that I heard was murderball, and they're going to get back to that type of game that they used to play.
I don't know how a guy like Milroe gets sacked 6 times when you have the ability in the little things to, move the pocket, 3 step, snap, ball. I mean, I just don't get it. But here's another stat before we begin to wrap this thing up. Combined, A&M and Bama, less than 100 yards rushing. Less than 100 yards rushing. But they threw it all over the yard. Johnson was 14 for 25 for 239. And as we mentioned, Milroe, 21 for 33 for 321. Who would have, who's predicting that?
Man, if anybody predicts that, I'm calling you Nostradamus after that game. Once it plays out, because I would never listen to you if you called for that before the game. Time of possession, I mean, less than 2 minutes separating it. What an even game. Minus, again, Milroe tapping into, I think what really could be his ceiling, with more protection, with more fine-tuning of his arm, and really probably his mind, taking him out of those bad spots that he can find himself in. The defensive lines were both terrific. Alabama's winning out, even despite the guys they lost last year.
Yeah.
Losing a Will Anderson, and you're still just taking it right at a very talented, let me say star talented. I'm going to say we don't necessarily know what Texas A&M is still yet.
Yeah.
Because they just don't execute. And when the moment's the biggest, at Miami, hosting Alabama, they just don't execute when the moment's at its biggest that it can be.
Yeah.
But again, the run games do nothing. The quarterbacks both perform. And what I'm going to need from you is to say when it comes time to preview week 7 that Joe Milton will be the X factor in the Tennessee Texas A&M game, because it's going to take something like that, I think, to find a similar result, a win against Texas A&M.
Well, what I said going into this was the things that you can do with Milroe's legs going into this. I think I spoke to things like quarterback power, quarterback sweeps, like find dynamic ways to get him going and get him running. And he strikes me as one of those guys, as he gets his hits out of the way, he starts to get into the feel of it, and as the game goes, he kind of gets better with the more contact that he takes on. But I wasn't going to predict him to throw for plus 300 and have minus 30 in rushing. That wasn't going to happen.
No. And you said this a minute ago. You said he took 6 sacks, which is basically, again, what Alabama is dealing with on a weekly basis. I mean, their left tackle Proctor got abused by South Florida. So he had 2 true rushes, or maybe one was a scramble, maybe one was designed, whatever. He took off 2 times that weren't a sack, because he had 6 sacks, 8 total carries for negative, well into the negative yards, a long of 12. And I would, again, there's just not a chance that I'm predicting Alabama to win a game where that's the case and the opponent's decent.
Not a chance. Not a chance. And I'm not even sure a Connor Wagman, if you insert him into that day and that moment and that time, really makes a difference.
I don't think so. I think if anything, Gary Danielson beat this into the ground during the broadcast. But when Alabama was really responding and they were scoring some points, moving the ball, he was talking about Texas A&M going directly to their playmakers, Evan Stewart, Anaya Smith, and listen, Smith has 4 catches, 88 yards. Evan Stewart, 3 catches, 46 yards. That's 7 total catches between those guys. You're going to tell me you couldn't find any more for those guys to do?
That's what I'm saying.
Neither one have a rush attempt. That's it. You give them 3 to one guy, 4 to another guy. That's. I don't think that's it. Whether that's Petrino, whether that's Max Johnson, whether it's just Alabama taking it away, I don't know. But I agree. I don't think Wigman is the difference there. He's good. He is good. But look, Max Johnson was taking some monster hits,
yes,
backing away and putting the ball in really catchable spots a lot of times, which worries me greatly for Tennessee because I think they can pressure him, but can they prevent the catch if they do pressure him and he gets the ball off? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was very tough. He is far from the reason that Texas A&M lost that game. I think that really falls on their secondary more than anyone because you're the guys that Milroe breaks out against.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Milroe and Burton.
Yeah, Burton.
Milroe and Jermaine Burton.
100%.
All right, well, going into this, let's see. We both said Texas A&M. I said Texas A&M 28-17. You said A&M 23-13. We went 0-2 so far. It was Bama 26-20. And the only thing that I want to say before we drop this segment is I felt stupid old because I remember as a kid watching Brad Johnson, the dad of quarterback and tight end, and now I'm watching his kids play. Getting on up there in age, man.
It's happening very fast.